guys, thanks for stopping by my channel today. I want to spend a few minutes talking with you about the Nars Soft Matte Complete Concealer. It's their new release concealer. I played with it in Sephora like a number of times before I decided whether or not I was going to buy it because I kind of wasn't convinced. And then I brought it home and I had major trouble with it. But I kind of stuck with it and my opinion on it has now completely changed, primarily because it's actually something that I wasn't expecting. So let me give you my thoughts and insights on what I think about this new fancy little in a jar concealer from Nars. So first of all, this concealer is being described as a soft matte concealer. And actually, I kind of feel like it's almost like a cream to a powder concealer. The concealer consistency itself, obviously because it's in a jar, it's not nearly as fluid, for example, as the original release of the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer. Obviously this one being much more liquid in nature versus the Complete Concealer, which is quite a bit thicker. But it isn't even a wet thickness. It's almost like a very heavy mousse texture thickness, but it's very soft and it blends very, very nicely. Now, when I first started using it, I was applying it with one of those very pointed, meant to blend in concealer kind of brushes, and I found that I wasn't liking the way that it was performing underneath my eye. I felt like the brush itself wasn't big enough. And so what you could actually wind up using, just a couple of examples, e.l.f. makes the pointed foundation brush, but it's very, very small. You can see this is when I was using it with this concealer. You can see that the tip is very small. It's dense, but soft. You need it to be dense in order to move the product around, but you need it to be soft also because you're working underneath your eye. And so this winds up working very, very nicely. I also discovered that by Real Techniques, their domed shadow brush also works very nicely. It's a little bit small, but it winds up dispensing the product a little bit better still than a standard typical concealer brush. My favorite brush to use with it is by Morphe. It's the E46. It's just kind of this domed but dense little brush that kind of gets right in there. It's nice and soft and really brings the product down and out the way that I need it to go. So the shade range for it, I actually got the same shade color that I get in the Radiant Creamy Concealer. I believe it's called Medium 1 in Custard. And so it winds up virtually being the same color. They actually do wind up matching each other pretty closely because they're not the same consistency and they're not the same exact product. There's like a slight variation, but without even color matching myself, I grabbed the same shade that I do in the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer and it winds up working out nicely. So this concealer is not meant to be a corrector concealer. And the reason I kind of believe that is because none of the shades are like peachy or salmon in color, which is what you would use to cancel out either the darkness or the blueness that goes on underneath your eye. They're all variations of different flesh tones, very similar again to the line that they have in the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer. And so this isn't meant to be a corrector, even though a lot of times the correctors come in little jars like this. This actually is meant to be a concealer. It is actually full coverage. And so if you do have issues underneath your eye, this will definitely take care of whatever kind of darkness or coverage that you need underneath your eye, which works really great. And so I totally doubted it from the beginning because I'm like, that seems like it's way too thick. I'm used to putting on the liquid underneath my eye. But let me tell you what I discovered. So a lot of times I hear from people that they've got dry under eyes and their concealer under their eyes winds up caking. What I was able to do with this concealer, because it is a bit drier, like I said, it's kind of like a cream to powder. When you put it on though, it doesn't have that wetness or that tackiness that a doe foot applicator tube combination would be. Like I said, like a concealer like this, any kind of concealer like this, you have to go in and set this with an under eye setting powder. And that to me would enhance the dryness that anybody would have perhaps going on underneath their eyes, which would then lead to cakiness and an unnatural look. because this is a soft matte velvet texture that blends out so nicely, I actually tried it out where I didn't even set it, which I have to tell you felt naked when I would like try to go out into the world. I'm like, oh my God, I am not even setting this. You kind of actually don't have to. And for me, you guys know I do have skin that's on the oilier to combination side. I definitely do not have dry skin. And so the fact that I was able to not set this concealer and not have it slide all over the place confirms for me that someone with dry skin would really be able to wind up applying this and then not having to add the accentuating dry setting powder, because that's what a powder is. Powder has to be dry. And so you don't wind up having to add that in, which might further accentuate any dryness that you have going on. I was like, this is unnatural. This doesn't feel like this is the way that this is supposed to be done. The other thing that I like about this concealer is I choose a concealer color that is pretty similar to my the tone of my face, the rest of my face. Because of that, and because of the consistency and texture of this particular concealer, I can use it to conceal all around the rest of my face as well. Whereas I would find that a doe foot applicator tube concealer wasn't doing the job for that. It was something that was just too wet and wasn't adequately covering any red spots, acne scars, pimples at that point, whatever it was. But this, I wind up finding that I can use underneath my eye and all over the rest of my face. And then on top of it, again, because of the consistency of the product, I use it as my eyeshadow base as well, especially on days when I feel lazy, which was my initial intent. And then I found that it wound up working out really nicely. So this I've been using like everywhere. So even though it's a little bit expensive, it's about $30 for this little jar. A little obviously goes a long way, but it winds up saving me a lot of time. And I feel really it's just kind of consistent, kind of all over my face, being able to use the same exact product to address a number of different issues. And I'm telling you, I hated it when I started. I hated it. I have been wearing it now for almost 2 weeks, every day differently. Like, do I set it? Do I not set it? What kind of brush am I using? Am I using it as an eyeshadow base? I did one as an eyeshadow base, one without, or with a different eyeshadow base. They both wound up looking perfect and fine by the end of the night. I found that it was concealing nicely and wasn't wearing away or rubbing away or over accentuating anything else that I had going on in my face that I was trying to conceal. So ironically, the thing that I didn't like so much in the beginning wound up being like a trifecta of a hit for me. And so I wanted to pass that along. I don't know. This is something that is so different that I don't know. Will it work out for your skin type? Will it work out for the texture of your skin? I think if you've got, because it is a soft matte velvet, maybe if you've got additional texture on your skin, it might not blend in as well. I don't know. But what I am saying as a result of this video and my research is that you definitely need to give it a shot. Don't forget, most places have a really good return policy as long as you gently use the product. So definitely take it home, play with it, try it out. You might wind up being super pleasantly surprised like I was. And so that was why I wanted to make this video and pass that information along to you. I hope that you found this information helpful. And if you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you're not one of my subscribers, and actually, if you think that you already are one of my subscribers, just double check, because YouTube is going crazy, removing everybody's subscribers. I've had a number of you say to me that you're not getting notified about my videos, and so it might be because YouTube has actually unsubscribed you. Also, you can hit that little bell that's now in that box below me, so that will absolutely notify you when I put up a new video. And so again, thank you so much for your support. Please tell me what you think about this concealer if you've tried it, or maybe what your favorite concealer is, because I love trying new stuff. So, and I love chatting with you guys in the comment section down below. Thanks again so much for watching. Find me on social media if you have a minute. Otherwise, I hope you have a really great rest of the day, and I look forward to seeing you next time. In the meantime, thanks.